You're listening to Make Today Count podcast. I'm Jessica Morari, certified life and career coach, and I will be your host. If you're ready to think better, choose better, and act even when it's messy, you're exactly where you need to be. Let's make today count. Hello, how are you? Welcome back to a new episode of Make Today Count. How is your week going? I have been doing check-ins on myself quite often in the past few weeks due to the situation we've been having here in the Middle East. And I think this has really helped me understand what I needed in each moment. When I say check-ins, I mean that I sit down and assess my level of energy, my emotional state, my mental state, and I see where I need to pay more attention to in that specific moment. Sometimes that means that I need to adjust my routine or my diet, or that I need to sleep better, which to be honest has been quite of a challenge lately. Or maybe I need to spend extra time with the people I love or doing things that recharge my soul. So while I was doing one of these check-ins a few days ago, I started to reflect on the concept of mental health. And that's what I want to share with you today in this episode. I want to talk about modern mental health and what it really means translated into the world we live in right now. First of all, I think it's important to start by saying that being mentally not ill doesn't mean being mentally healthy. I have this conversation often with people, and many times when I work with my clients on their life audit and we get to the mental well-being chapter, I see this a lot. We kind of confuse the absence of mental illness with health, which if you think about it, it's kind of low standard. The fact that you don't have a mental illness doesn't automatically mean you have a good level of mental health. So here's the thing I want you to get away from today. In today's world, when we talk about mental health, we're talking about something much broader. We talk about a sense of well-being that includes multiple factors. I'm thinking about your emotional well-being, your psychological resilience, how well you cope with unexpected or uncomfortable situations. I'm talking about your sense of belonging or purpose. We all need to feel part of something, and that's part of the human nature. I'm thinking about your relationships, your environment, how integrated and connected you feel to what surrounds you, and even your ability to regulate your attention in a world that is constantly competing for it. I'm thinking about how you filter what's going on and how you process what is constantly receiving, the outputs that your brain receives. Modern mental health is definitely not a simple absence of mental illness. And it's not even something that you tick off a to-do list because it's not a static concept. In fact, it's very much dynamic, and it shifts with your circumstances, with your environment, with your workload, your relationship, and even with the amount of information that you consume on a daily basis. That's why we really need to make time to take care of it, because it is the one thing that affects our life in general, no matter how successful you are in all the other areas of your life. We are living in a time where the demands on our minds are unlike anything we've experienced before. We are constantly connected, constantly stimulated, and of course, we're constantly comparing. And that changes the definition of what it means to be mentally well. So when we talk about mental health today, we're really talking about capacity. Your capacity to handle stress without breaking down. Your capacity to feel your emotions without being overwhelmed by them. Also, your capacity to focus in a world which is distracting you constantly. And also the capacity to rest without guilt, to have fun and do things that bring you joy, and without feeling that you're wasting your time. And also the capacity of coming back to yourself when things go sideways, because we know that life is not perfect and we don't have control over every single thing that happens. Now, when I share this concept of mental health, this state of well-being, people automatically think that means being happy 100% of the times, or they imagine this hippie flower power version of themselves. This is not what I'm talking about. Mental health is not about being happy all the time or being always positive despite what happens. You have situations when you don't want to feel happy. You don't want to feel happy in front of a loss, in front of war, or in front of certain types of illness. The goal of a state of well-being, the purpose of having a solid mental health, is to still have those feelings, but have the ability and the capability of dealing with them in a healthy way. And that ability to deal with your thoughts and your emotions in a healthy way is what determines the quality of your mental health. Of course, we know that mental health is important, and I guess that in the past few years, we have taken few steps as a society to advance and make some progress on the topic. There is certainly more awareness, we talk about it more, people are open and transparent about their mental health, and I'm also happy to see that more countries, still not enough, but little steps, are even starting to set projects dedicated to it. So, why is mental health so important? Because it shapes everything. We have already seen in the previous episodes how our thoughts shape our final results. Now, if you have missed that episode, you really have to go and watch it. It's one of those episodes you cannot miss. I promise it's going to bring you so many insights and light bulbs. And in the meantime, I'm going to do a quick summary. The way you think determines the way you feel. The way you feel drives the way you act. And the way you act creates the results and therefore determines the type of life that you're going to have. And usually, when our mental health is off, we start compensating for it. We overwork, we distract ourselves with social media or entertainment, we keep busy to avoid dealing with whatever we feel and think. We can go down a road of excesses, be that overeating, overspending, or drinking alcohol more than necessary, or we can even get addicted to substances to go completely numb. Each one of us has a different way of buffering and compensating for a deficit of mental health. And that affects every other area of your life. It impacts your energy, your relationships, your decisions, your sense of purpose, your ability to handle pressure, to rest. And really, mental health is one of those things that it's so fundamental that really sets the quality of your life. And that's why it's important, and that's why you want to take care of it and protect it and build it. So again, mental health is not when you don't have a breakdown. It's so much more than that, and it includes everything we have said so far. So how do you know if you have an excellent mental health? Which are the signs? Sign number 1, you have future plans. You are not just reacting to life, you're creating it. There is a huge difference between letting things happen and make things happen for you. When you have your future plans, you take responsibility of your future and you take charge of your life. So for example, if you have goals, it doesn't matter if they are big or small, they can even be tiny, but having a goal to achieve, knowing what you want from life and go for it really gives you direction and a sense of purpose. It means you believe on some level that your future is worth investing in. Sign number 2, you have emotional balance. Being emotionally balanced means that you can experience both positive and negative emotions without being consumed by either. We always think that someone who can manage their emotions doesn't get angry or frustrated or sad or stressed. And that's far from reality. I would probably say that's the opposite. If you have emotional balance, if you know how to deal with your emotions, you don't shave away from them, even from the ones that make you feel uncomfortable. The point here is to not feel them, but to feel them, to process them and move forward instead of getting trapped and staying there. Sign number 3 that you have an excellent mental health is that you have a low level of buffering or you don't do it at all. I said before that when you don't feel comfortable with the life that you're living, when you're not capable of dealing with the emotions or with stress or with what's going on with your brain, then you constantly need to escape your life. So you buffer a lot. And I'm afraid that we buffer a lot, my friend, in today's world. Buffering can look like over-scrolling, overeating, overworking, overspending, or numbing out to avoid the discomfort. Having a good mental health means you can sit with yourself without always needing a distraction. You can sit with your thoughts and with your emotions for as long as it takes to acknowledge them, work on them, and then move on. Sign number 4, you take action. You know by now how much I believe in action and how much I stress the importance of this step if we really want to make any change in our life. Awareness alone is not enough. I can't say this enough. Awareness is just the first step of the journey, but you need to make things happen, and the only way you do that is by taking action. And you take action no matter what. You take action when you're not ready, you take action when you're scared, and when you haven't figured everything out yet. You don't wait to feel perfect before you move. Actually, I'll tell you something that I personally found outrageous the first time I heard it and really made me upset for a while until I internalized the concept. Perfectionism is for scared people. If you shield behind perfectionism, you probably fear of not being able to handle failure, judgment, or any consequence. So you can easily recognize someone that has strong mental health because they are the ones acting despite that fear. They feel it too. I'm not going to pretend that the fear disappears, but they do it anyway. When you have a good mental health, when you are focusing on controlling what's inside rather than obsessing to control what's on the outside, there is so much you and I cannot control. I cannot control political situation. I cannot control what other people think or feel about me. I cannot control the weather, the economy, a conversation, if a client buys one of my services, if my boss gives me a raise, if I get a promotion. So much I cannot control about external circumstances or situation. The famous S line that we saw in the steer model. Yet there is also so much I can control when I focus on the inside, which is the rest of the model. I can control my thoughts, my emotions, and my action, which I'd say it's already a great deal of things where I can take responsibility instead of trying to control everything around me, which is impossible. What we want is to build stability from within. Another sign that you have a good mental health is that you coach yourself. This is probably the most challenging stage to achieve, and I personally keep work on it every day more than all the other points because it's where I sleep the most. I have coached myself a number of times during the past few weeks, and it's not that I give myself pep talks, which sometimes I do too. But when I say that I coach myself and that you should coach yourself, it's more about checking in with how you feel, why you feel it, and to challenge your thoughts. Don't take them as truth. You should ask yourself questions. You might question your thoughts, you might question your beliefs. You need to look at them from a different angle if that serves you better in that situation and it helps you to achieve the results that you want. You want to become an ally to yourself rather than criticizing every step you take. Sign number 7 is that you bring value to those around you and you contribute with what you do and who you are. You're not just living for yourself, you're giving something back and creating a ripple effect that provokes a real change. Maybe you do this with your work, or with your energy, or with your presence, or with your support. Each one of us does it in a different way. You bring value, and that value, the value that you create, creates a sense of purpose, which is fundamental for a human being and for our mental well-being. Sign number 8, it's unconditional love. This is a really beautiful and powerful concept to internalize because it takes away so much pressure and makes you live in a different mindset. You need to accept that you are a human being, and being a human being means that you will most probably make a lot of mistakes along the way. And that's okay. Get over it. There are mistakes you can't avoid because you need them to grow and to build experience and to become a better human. Go through it and come out of the other side stronger and better. That's really the only way you should think about mistakes. And that's what I mean when I say unconditional love towards yourself as a human. Number 9, you start treating time as a friend more than an enemy. We are so obsessed with the concept of time, and we talk about managing time as if we could. We cannot manage time. We cannot prevent it from passing. We can only decide how to spend it. So instead of trying to fight time, we should take the fact that it's limited as a gift. Because if you think about it, that's what makes it so special and unique. You get one chance, and you never know how long that ride is going to last. When you really let this sink, I'm sure you will make different choices, and you will make them from a completely different place. You might say no to things you don't want. You spend your time more intentionally on what matters to you. You want to do things that align with the values that we saw in previous episodes. Maybe you simply focus on building a life that actually makes you happy instead of pursuing an idea of success that belongs to someone else. I'm going to do 10. I'm going to do 10 signs because I like round numbers. So here is sign number 10, which is you know who you are. This connects to what we've seen in episode 7 about values. You know what you care about. You know what principles guide your life, what you bring to the table. So as we close this episode, my friend, I want to leave you with this. None of these means that you have it all figured out. It means you are aware, that you're responsive and willing to grow. Mental health is not a destination, and it requires constant nurturing and attention. But I'm telling you, it's going to be the best investment you will ever do on yourself. Your mental health really shapes the quality of your entire life. So don't wait for things to fall apart before taking action and give it attention. I want you to build it, I want you to protect it, and I want to prioritize it. It's all for today. I'll see you in the next episode. And remember, make today count. Ciao. Hi there! Every month I open a limited number of discovery sessions for those who want to start working with me. If you want to see if we're a good fit or you just want to check and see which are my services and how I can help you, please go in the link in the description and let's have a chat. Ciao!